Hey everyone! So I'm super excited to chat today with Paige Brunton. She is a Squarespace expert, and we're going to chat all about web design services and how to make 10K months. And I kind of want to precursor this with make 10K months if you want to make 10K months. I feel like when I first started my business, I was infiltrated with making 10K months, making six-figure years, and I felt the need to do that because I was told that I needed to, but I always just wanted to stay at home with my baby. So if that's your goal, great. If that's not your goal, that's okay too. But either way, the tips she gives are going to be super valuable. So I want to give a quick intro to Paige. So Paige, when I started my business in 2018, and I kind of started to move from social media manager to website designer, I noticed every time I searched anything related to websites, Squarespace, her blogs popped up. She had 1,000,000. And I was so impressed because I knew the power of SEO from the beginning, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't really want to focus on social media anymore. So I loved that. And Paige, she was a website designer, made 10K months, and then decided to pivot to having courses. And she has taught over 4,000 students, which is just insane to me. So, so cool. And I really love following her, especially on YouTube. Her passion for helping women grow profitable and productive web design businesses is just so valuable. So, Paige, if you want to log on, I will accept your invite or whatever. And we're just going to talk about, is it too late to be a website designer? Some advice that she might have, and do you need to know coding? All this stuff. She has so much great information. Good to see you too. So quick intro to you. But I'm really excited to chat all about website design. We both kind of grew. I grew on Choate and Squarespace. You grew on Squarespace, but then you pivoted to courses, which is so cool. So first, I just wanted to ask you, because I feel like this is a question I've been asked a lot. Is it too late to become a website designer in 2023?
I think that's exactly the thing, is as you said, is you are in the industry, so you look around at the other people in the industry. And so therefore you're just obsessed with it. When we go to start a business in a certain field, we just binge everyone else's content who does something similar in the space. When I became a website designer, I had no intention to educate other people how to become website designers. But I just noticed that my email list just became full of other website designers. And I was like, why are they all following? I don't understand. But anyways, so I think that we have a very skewed perception of what is happening in the world. Yep. I was just talking to a YouTube video went out today. I was talking to a past student, Caitlin, and she is in the trades. So think custom home builders, plumbers, electricians, that is her niche. And to them, okay, they are not in this your average electrician, your average plumber or whatever is not at all in this world that we see being oh, there's so many website designers out there. And I can just say that so I've run this course now for 4 or 5 years now. And every single time that we have a new round of students, there is a handful of them who are just gung-ho, they binge the course in a weekend or something. And then they're getting clients ASAP. And so every time that new students who just start this business do it again and again, I'm all right, well, clearly that is not the issue. But I think we have a very skewed perception of what's happening. And to your average yoga studio, small business owner, whatever, they actually don't know that there's 1,000 web designers that exist out there. So yeah, not too late.
Yeah, totally agree. There's more and more online businesses, right? More and more shops that are moving to e-commerce.
I think it's something almost, I think it's 46% of small businesses still don't have a website yet, let alone all the businesses that do have a website, but their website sucks and needs to be redone. So, or just generally people, I would say you probably want to get your website redesigned every 3 years or so, I would say is a good kind of cadence of it. Otherwise it does start to look a little bit outdated.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So what is some advice you'd give to someone who I feel I have a couple friends who went from the VA route and kind of were testing a lot of waters, and then they're oh, I really like website design.
So I feel the thing which needs to be fixed in this, solved in this situation is the confidence, because every time that I meet someone who tries to make this transition, it's oh, but I don't actually know how to do it or whatever, or I just have done it a few times for clients and done some tweaks on their website and everything. And so I feel the thing which really helps in this situation is doing a project or two just to build the confidence that you can do it, because I feel that is so key, is being able to say someone to yeah, and I can do web design services for you now too. So what I did when I very first started was I had built a travel blog. That was the extent of my web designer experience, was building my own travel blog, and redesigning it 12,000 times. And then I was just like in university, I met this couple who ran a nonprofit, and they were saying like, oh, our website is so brutal. Like, it's so awful. We can never update it. It looks terrible. And I was like, oh, well, like I could help you, and I could redesign your website and like do it as like a portfolio project and like for a testimonial. And so I just did it completely for free. And doing that one project, seeing how happy they were with it, seeing that I could actually manage to do this and someone like really did value the end result and it looked fantastic at the end, I was like, huh, okay, maybe this is like a real thing that I could do. So I would say like, if you are considering making the switch, if you can find one client, one friend or family member, build a website for yourself. Like, that's also fine. It doesn't even need to be for like a real company. I think actually I'll have to find it. I can share it later. Maybe I'll share it in the bootcamp actually that we're hosting. I did like some project briefs. So a lot of people, it's like, oh, I can't like imagine some like fake company in my mind or whatever. But we literally put together a brief of like, hey, here's a restaurant, here's a florist, like here's the details on the company, build a website for this thing to kind of give you an idea. So you can literally build a website for like a fake company, but still it gives you the confidence that you can do that project. So I think would be my first recommendation.
You can also find people who like just don't want to pay for a website, which is not going to be an ideal client later on the road. But like right now, like find somebody and charge them. For my first websites, I charged $400 for a full website. So like we will talk down like in a couple questions about like 10K months. Obviously, you're not charging $4 for a website, but like when you're starting out and you have first project, like I was so happy about that $400. And so and I'm sure you start like
I think it was like $480.
So I mean. Like charge something really low that if you maybe even something that you can reach out to them, like an industry that you're like, oh, I want to do a coffee shop one. Great. Find a coffee shop that has a really terrible website. So another thing in the website design world is like the coding side of things.
I can tell you, I'm an awful coder. Like on so many occasions, I tried to teach myself to code and I just fell asleep on my laptop like literally every single time because I was like, it's so boring and my brain does not function in this way. So I can tell you, like, I built a hella successful web design business and I am not good at coding. And so it is, let me say it this way, how I would frame that to your client is, and this, I would definitely suggest this, is like, I will create you a website, whatever the website building platform that you're using is, doesn't matter. WordPress, Showit, Shopify, Squarespace, whatever. You just say like, I'm going to build you a website using like the capabilities of what's in this like website building platform. If you want like something like custom developed or custom coded or whatever, then we can chat about that for like an additional fee. And I think that's a good thing to set as an expectation, even if you are actually confident in coding, because it really is like an extra additional thing to be doing some like super custom coding on a website. And then if the situation comes up where the client requests something and it's like, okay, it's going to require code, what I would do is just explain to them like, okay, here's the alternatives or whatever. See if they're happy with those. If not, then you can always hire someone to do that little bit or piece that you want to be done. Or a lot of students in my course, they just go into our Facebook group and there's so many people who are really good at coding. And they're like, hey, need this thing. Can someone give me the code? And so that's another method. There's also like plugins and stuff. Literally, some of my students who are hella confident coders, they're like, I literally buy plugins because it's just so much faster. So if you need some certain specific thing that doesn't exist, you can often buy a plugin for $20 and that's just going to solve the problem so much faster. So the other thing which I would say, especially when you're building websites for clients, is oftentimes it is best not to code anything on the website for their own benefit. What I mean is like people generally, what I find, they do want to manage and be able to update and edit their website themselves. They don't want to have to like have their website held hostage by like a developer or something, like need to email, wait 2 weeks for them to add the new classes or the new service to the website or whatever. And also not have to pay that like ongoing fee. So if you are using something like Squarespace or Showit or whatever, which is fairly easy once the like website is built and everything, you can teach your clients how to update things on the website. And when it comes to coding, oftentimes that decreases their ability to update and change things on the website because they don't understand how to like tweak that bit of code or remove that to change this to put it back again or whatever. So oftentimes the other conversation I would have is like, I can do this for you. If I like knew I could find the code online or buy a plugin or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I can do this for you, but just know that like it might make your ability to update and edit this website yourself harder later on down the road. And then they're like, oh, well, in that case, I don't actually care. Like, never mind. Scrap that idea. So there's so many ways that you can manage being a website designer without coding. And again, myself and the vast majority of my students are not professional coders by any means. And the website building platforms are so good that it's generally not necessary.
Yeah, totally agree. I would say the only thing, like, it depends on it also depends on the platform you're building on, right? Like Squarespace and Showit, no. Like I've made 40, 50 websites. You have as well. Like, don't need coding. The only one that I can think of where I really needed coding was a real estate website where we had to pull in the MLS, stuff like that. Generally, no, you really don't need it. Shopify, or like I originally started, like I said, on WordPress. And the reason I pivoted away was because I was handing off these websites that people couldn't update. And that didn't suit my personal client well. So, yeah. So I'm really interested in your answer for this one, because I feel like it's a question I've had a lot. Like, what is the difference between a $2K a month website designer and a $10K a month?
Like, I'll think back to Caitlin, who I was just chatting to and released the YouTube video on today. So her projects, I think she said it ranges between like 8 to 12K is the average, but she started on Fiverr and she was doing projects for like $200 and she stayed on Fiverr for a long time. And then she said, she's like, I wish if I would have done one thing differently, it would have been to get the confidence to get off Fiverr earlier. But anyways, so basically what she was saying is like, when it comes, and so people do literal, like just Squarespace website projects for $10,000, $12,000, like no branding, no copywriting, no SEO work, like just the website can be that amount. And so for Caitlin specifically, she's working with people who are like custom home builders, for example. If a custom home builder gets one more project because their website is good, then that is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to them. So it's very easy for them to be like, yep, I'm going to drop 10 grand on this website with someone who really knows how to set this whole thing up. So there's a lot of like coaching involved and really thinking about like, what is my client's end goal? And not just like a lot of website designers are like, give me the content, I'll put it on the website, I'll design the thing. That's like the end of that. Whereas with her, she's really talking to her clients and educating them and working with them to figure out like, what exactly is the goal? What is the best client journey through this website? What is the way that we can make sure that your like people inquire or that this is really seamless for them and everything? And so it's a lot more, you're thinking about designing the website strategically as opposed to just like making it pretty, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I would say that is one of the keys. The other key could also just be like really friggin' drop dead gorgeous designs. Like I know another, one of my past students, Freya Rose, her website designs are so beautiful and just so exceptionally gorgeous. And so that's another thing. Like if you can produce something really, really beautiful, that's another like aspect. And then the third thing I think is literally confidence. And like, it's confidence. When you know, and when you go into it, like with so many past clients who have been so pleased with your work and so stoked on the thing that you created for them, and it's really impacted positively their business, then you go into it be like, yeah, this is so worth 10 grand. Like you're getting a deal for 10 grand. I have another student, Lindsay, she does something super interesting as well. She kind of built like, it's not just a web design package, but it's a, how do you say? It's like, she kind of builds them a business. So what she does is, it's called City Living Network. In different cities, so say like Nashville, there is one blog in Nashville which states like all of the cool things that are happening in Nashville, all of the events, advertises the small businesses and everything. So it's basically, she helps people to become like the influencer of their city. So she builds this website. She educates them on how to like run this sort of business model. She helps them get their first like 10 blog posts published or whatever. And she's really setting up kind of like the whole business. And I think she's charging me at least like 14 grand at this point, per project. So that is something where it's like, it's not, she's kind of building you a website and a business at the same time that can kind of be like passed over to you. And she educates you on how to run this style of business.
I think it also kind of depends on like who you're serving. And like, which you don't know until you've designed a lot of websites, like who you really enjoy working with. But like, as I worked with more and more people, I'm like, I really love working with like the baby business owner. You can't charge 10K to a baby business owner. So that's when I kind of started to like, okay, well, what are some, like, can I do website in a days or things like that, because I charge a lower price. But, and you can still make 10K months with website in a days if you want.
I do agree. Yeah. I think that there's different industries which are easier, but you would be surprised as well. Like one time I had a girl hire me to build a blog. It's the most basic, simplest website. And like my price was my price. It was, at the time, it was 5 grand. And so she's like, yep, want that. Booked in, like I collected her content and I was like, that's it. Like this website literally took me like a day and a half or something to build this website. And I was like, is there anything else you want? Like, I feel kind of bad, but like, I was just like, and it was like a personal blog. And she spent 5 grand on it. I was like, okay, cool. amazing. She was super happy, super pleased with it. So yeah, you just never know.
So for somebody who wants to get to like the 10K months, like what marketing tool or any other suggestion you have is fine. But like, I'm interested in like marketing because we kind of went about marketing differently than maybe some other people did. Well, I didn't in the beginning, but then I got to a point where I was like, I'm done with the Instagram.
The one that you don't hate to do every day because you do want to do it consistently. So I actually found, so I don't want to recommend one specific thing. I blogged to build my business. You do not need to blog to build your business if you don't want to do that. So I just want to make that hella clear. The second I say blogging, people are like, oh, I can't write. But so I actually have a quiz. It's called Which Client Finding Method Matches Your Personality Type. I think it's pdcourses.com/quiz. If you opt in there, it'll go through a series of questions to help you figure out which marketing strategy would fit you. And I think the key thing here, again, is like find one that you genuinely enjoy, that you are so obsessed with it, you actually love doing, and you are naturally going to become so freaking good at that thing because you just spend all of your time researching and learning and trying to like, I don't know, get fantastic at that marketing strategy. So I've had myself, it was blogging. That's what I built my business on. Students have done in-person networking, they've done Facebook groups, they've done YouTube channels, they've done guesting on people's podcasts, they've I'm trying to think of what else, like going to conferences, speaking, so many, like social media, Instagram, all of those things work. Every single one of them works, but it's about doing it consistently, doing it well, and not trying to do 15 different things at the same time. I think that's the thing where people stumble. And yeah, and absolutely not trying to get clients through freelance websites. Like that is, you won't be having 10K months on like on Fiverr or Upwork or whatever. So like building your own website, building your own web design business, not just being like a freelancer on a freelancer platform. And then doing a marketing strategy. Also, when they come to you, you can also pitch to get clients. It's totally a legit strategy at the beginning. But do know that when there's a different dynamic when you're going to get the client versus when the client is coming to you and is like, oh, I love your work, I really want to work with you. Like that's a totally different kind of like vibe and dynamic, and therefore price that you can charge. So I would say getting off the freelancer platforms, getting off pitching clients, getting into a marketing strategy that you genuinely enjoy would be, and literally just them being consistent with that thing. So yeah, the other, I don't know if that's helpful, but there is one other thing which I've noticed between students who really take off and who really kill it like in no time. And the ones who can charge 10K month, 10K project, whatever it is, to other people who I find who are like just spending more time getting it going. Most often, the people who are charging 10K projects, 10K months, is the ones who they've either nailed one of two things. Either they have an uber specific niche, or their niche is hella general. There is no niche. And their website's designs are just genuinely incredible. So you can either spend your time working on one of two things. I would say the easier of the two is picking the super specific niche thing. So I'll give an example. I had a student named Charlotte, and she had written a book. She got like a traditional publishing deal with a publishing house. And so she was in this Facebook group full of other people who are being traditionally published. And she was the only one in there who knew anything about websites. She had built her own Squarespace website for her own book and for her like author profile or whatever. And then she was just in there answering questions, and she realized like these people all have no freaking clue. Like authors do not know what's up with websites. And so then she just offered like, hey, gonna do 2 projects for free. Like, let me know if you're interested. She had like a bajillion people be like, hell yeah. And so then she's like, okay, cool. I'm doing 2 for free. And then after that, she just chatted with each one and was like, hey, I've done these 2 for free. Those spots are taken, but if you want to book in at like whatever price, she literally booked herself for like 6 months, like immediately from that Facebook group. So that's what I mean about like super specific niche. I find people often they're like, oh, Facebook groups don't work, but it's like they're in the Facebook group of like Squarespace websites, and it's like there's also 12,000 Squarespace designers in that group. Whereas if you're in the like Minnesota electricians Facebook group, there are no website designers in that group. So getting specific with a niche and figuring out where they hang out, either in person or in like online. And then the other thing is the other option to really like kill it is really studying design best practices, studying branding, and really pulling together the most incredibly beautiful websites. Those are the 2 easiest ways to get to 10K months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. That's such a good tip. That's so good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the boot camp that you're hosting.
You are
all the things.
Interested, curious, aspiring website designer, any of those three things, then I'm hosting the Profitable and Productive Web Designer Bootcamp on April 17th, 18th, and 19th. It is going to be an incredible 3 days of live trainings where we are showing you all the things that you need to know to get a web design business up and running. We're talking about finding clients. We're talking about managing projects, keeping them on schedule. We're talking about all your income stream potentials and like prices and those sorts of things that you would have as a website designer, and kind of like evaluating which options might work for you. So it is, we will put a link in the somewhere. Link in bio. We'll put it in the comments. You'll find it after.
We'll do it.
But we'll put a link in where you can register. It is a live event. It's going to be incredible. Inside of the bootcamp, we also have something amazing. We are doing the Ultimate Web Designer Starter Kit giveaway. So I'm giving away 1 year of the CRM of your choice, Canva or Honeybook, 1 year of Canva Pro, and 1 web designer client contract from the Creative Law Shop that is worth $995. And so one of the boot campers are going to go away with that, which is super exciting. And I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope I gave you some inspiration. Even if you have never built a website before, don't worry. I literally had never, like, I just built a travel blog. It's not like you need to have a university degree in this anymore. So yeah.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.
Have a good day.